chatting to Beulah van der Westhuizen. It's been a long time since we've had the privilege of chatting to you, Beulah. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for making the effort to come through to our studios. We really, really do appreciate it. So, Beulah, shocking news coming and being released not so long ago about the fact that school pupils, learners, have fallen 70% behind when it comes to language, and then up to 106% behind when it comes to maths. And this was what was revealed from the systemic tests that were done in 2021, late 2021. What are we seeing? What's this all about?
Yes, first and foremost, Jonathan, thank you for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to be here. Yes, this is definitely shocking news, but I think it's not totally unexpected, considering what we had to go through in the last 2 years, and not only in terms of academic, but also the emotional component. So I think it's important to, when we have our conversation now, not to only focus on the fact that the children have fallen behind in terms of the academic, but I think we also need to bring the emotional component to the table.
Very, very important.
Yes.
And I mean, the whole pandemic, the whole lockdown, could we say that that's probably the biggest?
That definitely the biggest component, if we consider the fact that the children were not in school for 155 days.
That is scary. 155 days. That's more than half a year. Well, basically,
I've
more
calculated.
than.
So if you look at an academic year, it's got 4 segments, and it ranges between 9 and 11 weeks. So let's say on average it's 10 weeks. Times 4, that gives us 200. So an academic year actually have 200 days.
Whoa.
So this is very close to a full academic year.
That was
because
lost.
You can calculate other days that's not academic days in a school curriculum. So actually they've lost a whole academic year. So it's not if you follow the trend, and if you consider everything, this is to be expected. The question is, what do we do now?
Exactly.
Yes. So, and I see that there are plans in terms of catching up and taking holidays and taking, Saturdays. And I have to argue whether or not this is the best route, and whether or not we should not just cancel that year and start over, because it's how can we expect children to actually, and if you really look at the data, and I mean, you've mentioned quickly here, but I'm just going to reiterate what the article said. In terms of maths grade 3, they've dropped from 54% to 46%. So and then in terms of the language, they've dropped from 44.9% to 36.9%. So that's the grade 3s. Now, I almost want to say, what is happening now is we're looking at the endpoint. So what have they calculated now after the systemic evaluation? But my question is, what happened? What's the what was the results before this? And even if we look at that, we know it's not strong, and that is concerning already there. And now added on top of this, or added on top of the previous, which is a 2019 systemic assessment, if we look at the outcomes of that is also concerning. It's to drop below 50%. Actually, so what the systemic test reveals is the level of competency.
Yeah.
It's
that's what
competence.
It's about. Yeah.
So if we have a grade 3 that's already struggling in terms of their competence, how is that going to extrapolate to a matriculant?
Yeah, good point.
Yes.
Because it's the foundation phases. It's
exactly.
You're building on another foundation, on another foundation.
Exactly. So this has, I think, highlighted something that has been sitting there, which in any case needed to be addressed. But now on top of that, we have the whole trauma, and I think not a lot of people are talking about the aftermath of what we've had to endure. And we as adults are slowly getting back, and recovering and recouping and all of that. How much so then for children who are looking at the world at the moment and asking, is this a safe place? You know, is this a predictable place?
Yeah.
So there's a lot more going on than just numbers on a page and whether or not they can read or write.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Beulah, I'd like us to find answers and to talk to the parents that are in the audience and to the
Yes.
caregivers and to those people who are teachers and so forth. And also, just for those listening right now, if you've got a question that you'd like to pose to
Yes,
Beulah, you're welcome to
definitely.
send us a WhatsApp message, a text message, or a voice note. But yeah, please do that. In terms of the reality, the time has passed. We've
Yes.
been through the pandemic. The world has changed. We now see also the conflict in the Ukraine and what impact that's having on us, even here in South Africa. So as parents, we need to help our kiddies. How do we help them, maybe just to start with dealing with the emotions that they experienced during the pandemic?
Yeah, I think it's so important. And again, it speaks to what I just said. Children are looking at, as adults do, look at the world and they're asking, is this a safe place? You know, is this a predictable place? And we've seen that neither of those are true, you know, and those are fundamental questions. So in terms of parenting and teaching, I always come back to, you know, you have to step back to what is presented and come back to what is core. And if you take and if you focus on the present moment, in this moment, how are things for you? Is it safe here and is it predictable here? Because we need to almost reestablish those core components and the core level of security that children have. And I think parents are struggling to give that at the moment, and teachers are struggling to give that because they, in and of themselves, are experiencing exactly the same emotions. So it is about coming back to what is real for me right now. Yes, we can look at what's happening at Ukraine, but how does that impact my well-being right here? And I know it might sound selfish because it's, you know, we need to be considering what's happening in the world or what's happening to our neighbor. But the level at which we can give is only at the level that we have to give.
Beautiful.
So if we don't fill our own cups and if we don't make sure that we are doing the things that's important for us as a family, and important for us as individuals to fill those cups, then we will not have to give. Then we will only focus on the problem. And here the problem is children have been left behind in terms of the educational system, or you know, what's happening again, the aftermath of recovering from an international worldwide pandemic. And for me, it's not to immediately jump in and try to fill the gaps, but it's immediately to try and fill oneself in terms of what's happening in my world right now, which I actually can, because face it, we can't do anything about the Department of Education. We can't really tell them, you know,
this is what you should
this
be
is
doing.
what you should be doing. We cannot do that. We don't have that mandate. So what can we do as parents? We can first and foremost bring our family together and say, well, you know, let's have our family quiet time. Let's have what we need to do to fill ourselves up, to feel good about today. If we do that for today, then today will be a good day. And we will be able to face the things and the challenges for today.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow we do that again. And that is how you also then start to break down the gaps. So if you're struggling today with this little lesson plan, focus on this little lesson plan today and master it. Not thinking about, oh, this is a lesson plan that is part of 155 days that I've lost, and how on earth am I going to catch that up? You know, that brings in the biology of our bodies a sense of that we will never be able to catch up and cope. And that just, it pedals backwards. Whereas we need to find actions to pedal forwards. And it's in the slow actions that we start to pedal forward. So in terms of the curriculum, again, there's a lot that's innately in the curriculum that is padding. You know, as parents, get to the basic, read to your child. You know, not only does it create that opportunity for the reading, but it also creates the opportunity for bonding and security. which is what we want. And the same with maths. If you're in the shop, do a little bit of maths. I think the curriculum is padded with so many things that's really unnecessary. 19 different ways to do, multiplication.
Actually, we only need one.
You need one method. You need the method. You need to understand what's the mechanism of multiplication. Once a child has caught that, then they've got the formula.
That's it. Sure. We got to jump in there because it's news headline time, but Beulah's going to stick around. We've asked her to stick around. So if you've got questions for Beulah, let us know. 061 798 1075. That's 061 798 1075. We'd love to hear from you. And this is about being practical and helping parents and helping kids. Beulah, thank you so much for your time.
These are the headlines on CCFM.
City of Cape Town Safety and Security Head JP Smith has reminded motorists